This pixel is cheaper than this pixel. I'm a fan of pink, in this case peony, but I'm not really sure which one I prefer at this moment. This one has the Tensor G4 and this one the Tensor G4. Both of them have differences, but will I notice them? This is the new Google Pixel 9a, featuring a 6.3-inch actual display with a variable refresh rate from 60 to 120 Hz and Gorilla Glass 3 protection. It runs on the Google Tensor G4 CPU, the same chip found on the Pixel 9, 9 Pro and 9 Pro XL, paired with 8 GB of RAM and 128 or 256 gigs of storage. The camera layout is completely different. While the 9 Pro and 9 Pro XL have this camera bump right over here, on the 9A there's no camera bump. And honestly, I love this design. As I've mentioned a lot of times, one of my favorite phones in terms of the overall design, and this is part of it. But at this moment, for those that want something simpler, then this design is awesome, and for those that still want this camera bump here, then we have for all tastes. The Pixel 9a has a more subtle design and it brings some benefits. You can place it down anywhere without worrying about scratching the lenses. Actually, if we put in the case, the lenses never touch any surface. So it really comes to personal taste. For me, I still prefer this, but I really see what they are doing here and it's well done. So it really comes to personal taste. And I believe that those that will choose the 9 or 9 Pro over the 9A or vice versa won't have in fact this. But in terms of the brand, I understand what they are doing. They are giving it a little bit of a difference, in this particular case quite a big difference right over here, making the 9A less pretentious, I would say, and the 9 Pro and 9 Pro XL with a different status. But if you ask me if this would be a downside to purchase, not at all, or this would be a downside to purchase, not at all as well, because the truth is that both of them just look great. The main camera has 48 megapixels, ultra wide with 13 megapixels. Now with the main camera, Google Pixel 9a 1x, and in the screen looks just awesome, a great image. Let's just give a bit of context on the ultra wide. So this is where I am. Let's go back to 1x. And now let's push it to 2x. I'm still using the internal microphone from the Google Pixel 9a. And now let's go back to 1x, which is probably where we are going to get the most out of it. And once again, 0.5. So we can see a lot with this ultra wide angle lens right over here. Main camera on the Google Pixel 9, and at this moment 1x on more or less the same spot that we were with the Google Pixel 9a. Let's put in 0.5. The wind is picking up, so I'm not really sure if the sound will be good enough or not. And 1x, let's go to 2x, and there we go. And the front face camera with 13 megapixels. Front face camera on the Google Pixel 9a. Not too windy, so I'm not using any kind of microphone at this moment. And this is the audio from the Google Pixel 9a. Let me just turn around. The sun is right over there and it's blowing up a bit of the image, but other than that, let's just run a little bit here so that we can see the stabilization. I'm using a selfie stick at this moment, so a little bit shaker. Bon dia. Let's see how it will perform on this conditions. This should be what I would be doing right now, running instead. Well, no, I'm recording this video to share with you. Now back with the front face camera, but without selfie stick, just my hand directly and my arm's length. Once again, let's turn around. Backlight right over there. The sun is rising, so it's really strong and it's really difficult to do that job. Still with the internal microphone, other than this part right over here, which is almost impossible for any device at this hour, it's doing a great job. Now with the front face camera on the Google Pixel 9, not the Pro version, not the Pro XL 9, so that we can compare here, just in case you are wondering if the 9A is best suitable for you or not. Same test right over here. It's a really harsh image. Here, I doubt that any device that I have. So the Pixel 9a, which is in the middle, has the same frame design as the Pixel 9, which is this, which is different from the Pixel 9 Pro, which is this glossy. Now, personally, I prefer the brushed aluminum right over here on the 9 and on the 9a. And although I use on my daily basis a 9 Pro, I would definitely change the frame for this design, which is my favorite. So all of them look really awesome, but this one and this one for me are my favorites. The screen is 6.3 inches across all of them, but as you can see right over here, there is a slight difference in size. It is only a few millimeters thickness and height, but this means that the bezels on the 9 and 9 Pro the bezels on the 9A are a bit larger than the bezels on the 9 and 9 Pro right over here. So nothing huge, but it's one of the differences that I did find. Performance-wise, it's just as fast as the 9 or 9 Pro. Apps open instantly and multitasking is really smooth. I can run any productivity app or game without any problem whatsoever. Actually, I've been using the 9 Pro since it was released. And when I grabbed the 9A, I immediately felt exactly the same with a refreshing design, but in terms of the usage, it was exactly the same. Playing games and editing things and do everyday tasks, even some tasks that do push up the CPU, no worries whatsoever. I didn't notice any performance difference compared to the Pixel 9 or Pixel 9 Pro, even though the Pixel 9a has 8 GB of RAM versus the 12 GB on the 9 or 16 on the 9 Pro. One big similarity, which is awesome, is the AI toolset from Google and tools like Add Me, which will let you add people into the photos as we have seen before. The Best Take, which is one of my favorites, so we can choose the best expression from all the several shots that we take, and many other tools that we already have seen on Pixel 9 and Pixel 9 Pro. Now there's Google Gemini 2.0 and Google Pixel 9 has everything as the others have. But Gemini 2.0 Live, let me show you. Hi, do you know where I am?
It looks like you're at a beach in Portimao, Portugal. The water looks pretty calm. Are you enjoying your time there?
Yeah, but I'm not really sure what I can do here in terms of activities. Can you give me a help?
You could take a boat tour of the Beniguil Caves, explore the shops and restaurants in the city centre.
Can you tell me what I can cook with these that I've got here?
Okay, I see carrots, tomatoes, and maybe some eggs in your fridge. You could make a simple tomato and carrot soup, or maybe a fritter with those eggs and veggies. Do either of those sound good, or were you thinking of something else?
Yeah, I'm on a diet, so what would you suggest?
Since you're on a diet, a simple salad with the tomatoes and some of the carrots might be a good option.
I would like you to help me and explain what's on my screen.
No problem. It looks like you're working on solving quadratic equations. The example on your screen, x squared plus 7, x plus 12 equals 0, is solved by factoring it into x plus 4, x plus 3 equals 0. This gives you two possible solutions. Sure, this one's a bit more complex. It looks like they're using a method called completing the square. Basically, they're manipulating the equation to create a perfect square trinomial, which is easier to solve. Does that make sense so far?
Yep.
Great. So they add 2 halves squared to both sides of the equation. This allows them to rewrite the left side as a squared term, x plus 1 squared. Then, it's just a matter of taking the square root of both sides and solving for x. You end up with two solutions, x equals minus 5 and x equals 3. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And this is just a small example of what we can do, but it's really, really cool. Now, this is something that will be available for any Android phone which is compatible with Gemini 2.0. But in the case of the Google Pixel 9a, 9 Pro, 9 Pro XL, all of them will have this feature built in without any advanced subscription, while on other phones we will need to have a Gemini Advanced plan. So if we do some quick calculations and if we take advantage of Google Gemini 2.0 in one of these devices, but talking about the cheapest one, which is the Google Pixel 9a, without paying that subscription, this will become a tool that we will have paid in a matter of a few months. So it's great to see these advanced features on these equipments without having the need to get another subscription. And besides Google Pixel 9 lineup, we can also get it on the Samsung S25. Because at this moment, I'm not only getting a piece of hardware, I'm getting a package of hardware with some really cool software that we can use. Talking about software, it comes with 7 years of OS updates and other system upgrades, and it also has a 5100 milliamp hour battery, which is larger than the battery that comes on the 9. So expect a couple more hours, or probably 2 times a couple more hours on the 9A compared to the 9. And I'm comparing a lot the 9A with the 9 or even 9 Pro, which is honestly an unfair comparison, because the 9A doesn't come to replace any of these. It comes to replace the 8A. And in my opinion, it replaces really well the 8A, especially if you enjoyed this design right over here, which I do since day one with the 9 lineup. So one of the following videos I'll be sharing with you in more detail the differences between the 9A, 9 and 8A, and if it makes sense having all those comparisons with the price included to get a 9A, 8A, or jump to 9 or even 9 Pro. Hope that you enjoyed the video. Hope that you enjoyed to know a little bit better about the Google Pixel 9a. If you did, don't forget that usual thumbs up right over there, which is really appreciated on this side of the screen. My name is Roberto, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.